And now,
Recovery doesn't start tomorrow. Recovery starts right now. And here to help is Rated R for Recovery.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Rated R for Recovery, Rated R, the number 4 recovery.com on the internet. And we have a Facebook page. So if you would be so kind, look us up on Facebook and then pass us around and share us with your friends. So we like to be liked on the Facebook. Anyway, I'm an addict and alcoholic. My name's John.
hey, John,
Hi, John. And my co-host over here.
I'm just a girl who could never say no. My name's Joy. Welcome to the show.
We Joy, we just booked a famous guy on the show, but we won't say who it is.
Okay.
It'll
When
be a
is it?
surprise.
August?
He's a famous metal band rock star.
Love it.
Yeah, and he's going to tell us all about what it's like going to the Roxy and the Whiskey. Those are places in downtown Los Angeles, and that
I
rock.
drove by there once.
Yeah. That's my claim to it. I drove by it. Okay, and anyway, so let's just tell everybody what we do. Now,
What do we
Rated R
do?
for Recovery, we are a recovery-based, faith-driven program bringing hope, healing, and restoration to individuals and families impacted by addiction. Through interviews, information, and entertainment, we strive to be a catalyst for all who wish to change. And you can find us on iTunes under Rated R for Recovery, Spotify on Rated R for Recovery, Apple Music Rated R for Recovery, and of course, Pandora. Did I mention iTunes?
Yeah. Did you say YouTube?
We have a lot of people that sponsor our show, Joy.
Who are they?
Well, we have JCI Solutions, which is a painting contractor, both residential and commercial. My first guest seems to be having. Are you okay?
A little
As far as I
verklempt.
know. Next step recovery. What's it called? Next step. Yeah, next step.
Your employer?
Brian Edwards. Brian Edwards. For those of you who have ever gotten in trouble with the law. Yeah, the one person in the back. Bull crap. But you all have. Okay. Brian L. Edwards, attorney at law. Shamrock Bail Bonds, for those of you that needed to be bailed out at some point. Phoenix House Recovery. Celebrate Recovery, which is right here at Grace Church. In fact, let me recognize somebody in our audience right now. He was just ordained as the new pastor of Grace Church, the campus that we broadcast from. Kip, you want to stand up, please?
All right, Kip.
That's Kip. Very good.
It's a new adventure.
Also, White Sands, ladies and gentlemen, a good sponsor of the show. And of course, our partner in recovery.
Kimmy's
doesn't
Corner.
start tomorrow.
Yeah, Kimmy's Recovery Zone. I wonder if
Recovery starts right now.
all right. Say that Pedro had his headphones on. He didn't realize that, though, but that's okay. All right, so we have a great show, and we're going to start with this gentleman beside me who's been a friend of mine, I don't know, since 1973, I think. Not just kidding, actually. This Art has been a friend of mine for many, many, many years, and he is not only dabbles in marine biology, latex sales, export, import, and one other thing. What is it? There was one other thing. Marine,
Yeah, I don't know.
latex. We did the latex. Anyway, please welcome Art Vandelay to the show.
How are y'all doing? Good to see you.
So, Art, if I may call you Art.
I would.
Okay. All right. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like when you started drinking and drugging?
Well, that's back when I was the marine biologist, but no, I started drinking and using drugs at a late age, like 12, 13, and carried on until I was 38 years old, and I'm just a little more over that now. So,
Liar.
there's a line in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous where Bill Wilson says, "I began to forge the weapon that turned in flight like a boomerang and all but cut me to ribbons. And that's what happened. I started drinking and drugging to have a bunch of fun. And
Any of the drugs involved with alcohol other than alcohol?
yes, sounds like a leading question.
What-
Yeah.
It's what an interview
Uh,
is. Yeah.
I,
So
yeah,
what
yeah.
other drugs?
I smoked a lot of pot. You know, I'm old, so I smoked a lot of that hash oil and tie stick and ash, and then we did. You know, we once you start that, that's the gateway drug. You know, if no one's
What
told you,
alcohol is?
yeah, alcohol and pot,
Yeah.
and then it was dust and THC and all these pills that you could find for cheap everywhere.
The
And
Quaaludes.
eventually, Quaaludes. I love the Quaaludes and Plastidil, Secanols, Tuanols. You know, that was all those things. And then
What didn't you do?
I didn't do heroin. I did a little. I did a little opium and just not much heroin.
Okay, all right. But the drug that really brought you to your knees, what was that?
Well, I'm a crackhead.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right.
I started snorting cocaine in 78 and started smoking it in 78 and had to leave town in 79.
Very good. Did this get in the way of any personal relationships with you?
Absolutely, it did. You know, me and Jerry, we, sorry, my character is based off a Seinfeld guy. All right.
Art Vandelay character, which is
And the reason I do this is because we are absolutely not to use our names in a public press-like forum. It says that in some of our traditions, if you ever read them. But so I don't do that. So yeah, it got in the way of family, family, jobs, and oh yeah, staying out of jail.
how about a marriage? Would it have gotten in the way of a marriage at any
It got in the
point?
way of 2 marriages.
Very good. Okay, so let's go through a timeline here.
Okay.
So you're in high school, we're smoking weed, we're drinking with with the fellas and stuff like that. And then we go, what happens after that? Do we move? Do we
Well,
run?
no, we have to leave high school.
We do.
You know,
Okay.
because I met this girl and we hooked up and started selling drugs, and I worked for her dad's Texaco station, and that was just pure bliss, pure bliss. You know, drug salesman driving a Cadillac. It was 8 years old, but it was nice. You know, and everything was fine. But what happened was, um, if any of you have ever done cocaine, you know what I'm talking about. That's what happened, right? It happened, and all of a sudden I started smoking it, and then that happened, and I'm done. Um, my very first hit of that stuff, I said, "This is too good for mortal man," and I did not know what I was saying, and it was, and it should not be used by human beings.
No, no. But it's something that well, our literature says we like the effect produced by it, even though we know it's going to hurt us,
Oh yeah.
and we keep going and going and going, regardless of how it affects the people around us. And I hurt the people I love, and that love me. And so, give me an example of some of the things that the trials and tribulations of did you commit crimes to get drugs and alcohol?
No, no, is this live?
Yeah.
First, I listened to the speaker who said, he said, suicide wasn't that big of a deal. It was the next consequence on the ladder, the next rung on the ladder. He said, I started by, stealing and cheating and, you know, just bumming money and property from other people, and then breaking into people's houses and
Car
cars
hopping.
and what?
They called it car hopping last week.
Yeah, that's a new term. The
hopping?
young folks do that. Yeah, they call it car hopping.
I car hopped and I house hopped and I stores hopped. So I was doing a lot of hopping and and that's what I did. And it really wasn't for money. It was for something that went along with this drug life that I was leading. It was just I wanted to be a criminal.
Really?
Did you?
Did you really? That's news to me. So it wasn't about the women. It wasn't about the cars. It wasn't just to keep. For me, it was just about the next hit. For me, it was all about the dope. That that's all I thought about. I had was you talk about a mental obsession. That mental obsession was focused on one thing and one thing only all the time, regardless of who I hurt.
Yeah.
But for you, it was you wanted to be a criminal.
Well, it just kind of came natural, you
Well,
know,
it goes with the territory. I understand that.
and I liked it. And I wasn't about the women, and I wasn't about the cars, and I wasn't about anything like that. So
All right, so
what's that tell me?
you start car hopping, storage hopping, house hopping, and then you leave your hometown, do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Where do you go?
Uh, I go to the Rocky Mountains because they're not looking for me there.
But you took a hostage with you.
I took my brand new wife there and almost lost her for a minute there, and then we had a son in 1982, and then I did lose her and him, and you know, it's just another rung on the ladder.
What do
It,
you mean you
it,
lost them?
I mean, I pushed them away. You know, what I do is the only thing that's important to me is to get a little messed up as much as I can from morning to night and pass out and start all over again. I go to work only because it's necessary evil, right? And so I'm doing that, and I was in a nomadic lifestyle out in the Rocky Mountains. I was in the oil fields, and it was really kind of cool. But I pushed this young girl away. She was probably 20, 21 when she left me. And she took my son, and it was devastating. But I used to lay around and say, you know, he was less than a year when she left. I couldn't have known him that well, you know, and that's the way I justified it.
Right, right. And then we just brush ourselves off. We numb the feelings. We numb all the emotions by using more drugs and alcohol. And so I go from the Rocky Mountains. Where do we go from there?
I keep trying to go back home. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, same place you're from.
The
Hey,
home of the
Yep,
Simpsons.
yep. They're from Vermont,
Okay,
but well, that's who won the
I know.
contest. Okay. Anyway, I like to keep John on his toes.
Yes.
I tried to go back to Illinois, and I'm a drunk. I'm just a drunk, you know, and I never stop driving when I start drinking. It just never happens. So I'm back there, and I get 2 DUIs in a very short amount of time in 1987, and in the end of '88, I met your co-host here, and we started drinking and driving together, and then we
So you
we
stopped running for this period of time.
not
it was
really.
just an interlude.
Yeah. There was a all right. So you're stationary for a short period of time,
Very short.
and
Yeah.
then you decide to
To run.
relocate.
To run.
So
Yeah.
why did you come to Florida?
There's a guy sitting on a bar stool said, my dad's opening a color tile down in Fort Myers, Florida. And I had done some tile work for about 2 weeks. And so I thought I was a tile setter. So I'm going to come down and start a tile company.
And so did you?
No, I came down and Sue got a job and I started bartending at the Hog's Breath.
Okay, and then you took a while, but then you found other drugs, didn't you?
It's the same drugs, but I
Yeah,
found
but
them
you
and they
found
were
another
down
new
here.
place
Yeah.
to get them.
They
Yeah,
were
Yeah.
down here too.
Yeah, they were down here. What I found is that the same people were down here.
that were in Springfield, Illinois,
Yeah,
that
and
were
then
in the Rocky
and
Mountains.
then Eureka, Nevada, and then you know Corvallis, Oregon, and all these places I was. They all had jails, they all had cops, and they all had me for a short time. And so when we all got together, we all met.
Mhm.
So I was in jail in a lot of different places.
Didn't you get a walking while drunk one time?
I call it a wow. Yeah, walking while intoxicated. It was really being drunk in public, but yeah.
Okay, so you're in Florida, and you does this cause this increased drug activity and drinking cause a friction in your now new relationship with the lady next to you?
Yes, he knows that it does. So
Yeah.
yeah, we moved down here in 1990, and we had been together for about a year. I had been hiding my crack use from her. We had been drinking together. I had her move in with me, and then I got electricity, and so then we moved down here, and we're living off of Palm Beach, and then we moved to the south end of town because it's a lot nicer, Fifth and Oak. So
That would be Pine Manor?
Pine Manor.
Oh,
That's
very
where
good.
we moved
Okay.
to.
For those of you listening at home, that is the highest crime area in Lee County, Florida, which is where we broadcast from.
You
Go
call it
ahead, sir.
Crime Manor.
Crime Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So we moved down there and some things started to happen. I got robbed, I got beat up, I got left for dead out by the school buses. in the park out there. Um, my son, I got a DUI in 1992 with my 10-year-old son in the car, and they took him away crying. They took me away crying, and, and I ended up doing 60 days for that, and I had a lot of time to think. And the best thing I could come up with was, I have got to manage this living thing a little bit better. You know, I probably should stop smoking crack. I probably should not do any other drugs except smoke pot and drink. Now, listen to me, man. I quit drinking in 1995 for a reason because the law was on my butt, and they were making me, and she was about ready to leave too. And I thought I was being good. And then 3 years ago, we found a journal that she kept, and it described how I was being good, not coming home, being very abusive, verbally and mentally, and it doesn't matter what drug I do. I'm an idiot, just an idiot.
And most of us are.
Yeah.
Most of us are, and we start these fights with the people we love just so I can go,
Yep.
just because I want to keep going. So you love me, but oh, so what? You're the problem, not me.
Yeah.
Why do you have, all this stuff that if you're an alcoholic or an addict like I am, or like Sean's describing, Art, whatever his name is today, that it can identify with the feelings that he's talking about right now. Remember, it's not so much that I compare with what I've done or where I've been, but with the feelings of hopelessness, the feelings of whatever is coming out at the specific time. What happens next?
Well, this whole thing's going on, and I'm just, my friend Zach says it the best. He says, I hated myself when I was high, and I hated myself when I was sober, but I hated myself more when I was sober. And I can get that. I can feel what he's talking about, because when I'd sober up, I'd think of the way I treated my family. I'd think of all these things I had done to people that I knew and didn't know, and I couldn't take it. That's when I get like thoughts of suicide and stuff, or just running one more time. And so it's much easier to take a trip without leaving the farm.
Hmm.
Joy, I'm going to bring you into the conversation now, if you don't mind.
Oh, I like to tell his story.
Pardon me?
I like to tell his story.
Well, you're going to tell your part of your story, if you don't mind. What were your thoughts during this time period? How were you reacting to all this?
Well, what it came down to was, my best friend in the whole world, he just wasn't there half the time. And we made up another name for him. His sister and I, we called him Sean when he was good and John when he was bad. And because Sean means John in Gaelic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, he said, we were arguing, and he said something about, I don't think I know what love is. And I said, well, I'm not staying here for I don't know. And I
Did
got the
you,
bright idea
what,
to go to Al Anon.
and what happened? What did you learn in Al-Anon?
Well, me and my sister-in-law went to some Al Anon and had some drinks and went there and then talked about, if they had a good idea or not. But basically, I was praying, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. And that was one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been given, because I always knew what to do. And I always knew what you should do too. And I'd be happy to tell you if you just give me a few minutes of your time.
Yes,
But I didn't know anymore. And I was praying, what am I going to do? And it came over me that I had to leave and let him hit his bottom, because, he was the one who was bad.
And if you'd come up to the
Yeah.
mic again, did you hit a bottom?
I did.
And would you describe that, please?
It was very low.
Yeah.
All right. It was,
Did you have
this time it wasn't a DUI. It wasn't losing a house or a son. It wasn't any of that. And it took a little while. Basically, I ran out of money. That's it. There's a bottom. Ran out of money, so I go running to Joy's apartment with my sister, and I asked if I can stay there, and she says no. So I'm not only am I out of money, but I'm out of a home. So I'm willing to do anything at that point. And she says go to treatment. And I don't know what treatment is. It's 1996. Never heard of treatment. Nobody I've ever known that's gone to treatment. Intervention's not on yet, And she made me go to treatment.
Oh, where'd you go first, though?
Oh, first I thought it'd be best to run down to Key West and start my business. And
Sorry.
so I had $5. I hitchhiked to Key West and I got drunk. So my
All
sister,
that with $5, huh?
I'm pretty
You're
innovative.
pretty
You know.
resourceful. All right, go ahead. So you go to Key West, you come back.
I come back, I ask her if I can stay with her, and she says, no. She says, you got to go to treatment. And I said, what's treatment? She said, well, that's where they help you with your alcoholism and drug addiction. Joy worked in psych for 10 years. That's why she liked me. So, so anyway, I went to treatment. I went to a place called the Ruth Cooper Center, the DATE program's not here anymore, but oh my gosh, it was the best treatment program ever. But they didn't know what they were doing. So I got the heck out of there, and
Of course they did. We know better, don't we?
Tell the best treatment story
which one?
about
About the sneaking
your
stuff in.
peers.
Yeah, your peers.
Peers.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you bring to treatment? Wasn't it like a 9-iron and some golf balls
Frisbee.
and a frisbee?
Mhm.
3 Frisbees and my driver and 6 golf balls.
Okay.
And I hit those golf balls into what is now the cancer center out there. But I I was in there and I went in on a Wednesday and things got a little better. I weighed 119 pounds. I started eating a little bit. I started sleeping a little bit. I started feeling better. These people were talking to me. We were all talking about our big drug deals and all. And it was just great, just great. And Saturday, I woke up and it wasn't quite as great. It was like I had started to think maybe I had overreacted, you know, coming to this place, letting her talk me into it. And on Sunday, I woke up and I knew somebody had smuggled some drugs in there and wasn't sharing it with me. So I turned them all in for what they may or may not have been doing, and then I left. And it that didn't go well. I got I got I didn't get drunk and I didn't get high. I drank a couple beers and I smoked a half a joint. And I went to Joy's apartment the next morning when she got off work, and she really didn't want me to let me live there. I got it. Um, she didn't want to let me live there. And I said, "What do you want me to do?" She said, "Call him back. Tell him to let you back in there." And I'm like, "Well, that's crazy, man. I just got out of there. For God's sakes, I gave him 4 of my best days, you know." And so I did. I called him back and they let me back in. And on Monday night, December 2nd, 1996, Cocaine Anonymous in this town came into that treatment center and they changed my life. They talked about what they were like, what had happened to them, and what they were like now. They didn't say anything about what it was like, right? They talked about what they were like, what happened, and what they were like now. And some of the things they were saying was was my story, you know. And it wasn't the things; it was the how their parents had locked them out of their house and wouldn't let them come over, and their mom would hide their purse. You know, how their children had been taken away from them, how they had no driver's license, they couldn't hold a job. All these things were things that I had felt, how they felt like they just weren't good enough. But once they got high, they knew they were better than anybody else, you know? And I started to feel like they might understand. And they said a bunch of goofy stuff. Read the big book, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, get a sponsor, work the stuff. I knew not. You got a new tooth. They call me Bang. Yeah, it's usually my head. Um,
So you decided to do what they suggested.
yeah, I made a decision, although I knew it would not work for me. I knew it because I smoke pot every morning when I wake up. I drink as soon as I can in the daytime. And if I have any extra money or if you have any extra money, I want to do some cocaine, you know? And that's my life. And that's the way I thought I was going to go to the bitter end. And all I said was, I'll try not to do that and I'll follow what you say, but I know it's not going to work.
And
what-
actually, you said, I'm not ever going to quit smoking pot.
I did say
And I
that.
was like, well, okay.
now, what changed? We don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. So you walk out of there saying, I'll never stop smoking pot. But what happened? What made you
Well,
stop smoking
first of
pot?
all, I had a guy in there named Cal. He made it he made it almost 6 months out of the 10 people that were in there with me. Cal almost made it, but he got in a relationship and it was doomed. Doomed, I say. But anyway, uh, Cal said, "You're still going to smoke pot?" And I said, "Absolutely, I am. Man, never got in any trouble for pot," which was a lie,
Yeah.
right? Um, so, but 3 weeks in, I started looking at those steps. And in Cocaine Anonymous, the step reads, admitted we were powerless over cocaine and all other mind altering substances.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right.
Right there.
And I said, listen, man, I said, I'm trying to quit escaping reality by quitting doing weed and quitting drinking. By quitting cocaine and quitting drinking weed, I wake up and I change the way I feel immediately in the morning. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't even give myself a chance. So, so I said, I'm just going to try. And I've tried it. It works really good not smoking weed too.
And I was only going to do it one day longer than you because I knew it wasn't going to work also. And after you went back, because, he was the worse off than me,
Yeah.
then things would go back to normal. We could have our normal life back.
So I had heard that if you go to a meeting the day you get out of treatment, you increase your odds of staying sober by 486,275.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
But we don't know who they are.
We're not
but
sure who they are, but I'm telling you,
they say that.
I went to a meeting, but since I didn't,
You have an unusual way of thinking sometimes, and just
Me?
because
Yeah.
he and I are very extremely good friends, I'm just grateful that the two of them are in my life after what I have put them through over the years. And I'm just grateful that we could still be friends, and I mean
Yeah.
that from the bottom of my heart.
We got the band back together.
we're just lucky we never used together because you'd think Studio 54 was off the chain, man. We would have had something really crazy going on.
Well, no, what I'm referring to is that you were scared about the recovery police. You would say,
Oh yeah.
"Oh yeah, they told you to do X, Y, Z, and you were obsessed. You had the mental obsession to do X, Y, Z because of what?"
The sponsor police.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I
He
thought
gave
if I
himself
didn't go to a meeting, my sponsor told me 90 meetings in 90 days. I went to meetings 90 days straight except one day, but I did 2, 3, and 4 meetings a day. So I went to over 300 of them because I didn't have a job and I had nothing to do and I didn't know how to not get high. And I lived over by the Yana Clubhouse. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous for my drinking problem. I go to Cocaine Anonymous for my drugging problem. And it works for a guy like me.
and you go to Al-Anon every once in a while for all the rest of us.
I really don't.
You did for a while.
I went to meetings
Oh,
because
really?
my
Oh.
my son.
Well, where were you?
So listen, okay. So what is life like today?
I'd like to tell you that I'm the spiritual guru that you can call me up anytime and I'll fix your problems like Joy.
Sometimes you are.
Sometimes I'm like that, but I'll tell you, I struggle with life. Mark and I say it differently a lot of times. Uh, sometimes life is just not easy. And I've worked these 12 steps in my life and I have changed. I have had a spiritual awakening as the result of working these steps. So I see things different. I act different. My outlook on life is different. The only thing is, I cannot do it 24/7. I'm really trying, folks, and I cannot do it 24/7. I am shooting for perfection, and all I'm getting is progress. Right? So progress, they say, is really good enough. So you just keep trying, and that's what I do. I just keep trying. I try not to hurt the people I love. I go to meetings. I sponsor people. I am sponsored. I pray in the morning and at night and throughout the day. I do some spiritual stuff and I do a lot of things that I have learned in the programs of Cocaine Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, if you go there. And I don't tell people what they are because even though I've been told that I can't work my way into heaven, Still, I really am. I'm trying to earn my way up there. So I do a lot of things to make up for the way I used to be. You know, the am- the amends process. A lot of the people I robbed, I never would know who they were. You know, and so I've chosen to do a few things that make me feel like I'm kind of evening up the thing with my higher power and with the world and the karma and the universe and all that.
Well, you do a very good job of it, and you are very well respected in the recovery community. If there was somebody either in this audience or maybe at home thinking they don't have any hope and they don't know the way out, what would your encouraging words be to them?
Well, let me say one thing first.
I
Okay.
would.
So,
I
right?
just, yeah, I want to say that, they'll
Absolutely.
tell you that they tell you don't leave before the miracle happens and that you will see it happen in other people before you see it in yourself. And so the person that I know best in the whole world changed. Something about him changed. And it scared the bejesus out of me. But I, yeah, after about 9 months of him not changing back, I started doing the thing. And it is a miracle to see the light come on in somebody's behind somebody's eyes
Well,
and to see them just, oh, he was so bloody happy about being sober. Oh my goodness. And he gave himself a week to get a sponsor, and he did. It was like he was coming up on midnight.
really? That
Yeah, and
close?
he asked somebody.
New Year's Eve.
All right.
Yep.
Well, so, but not only did you see a light come on, you saw an asshole become a nice person. You saw
Most of the time.
this is a man who was not nice. Oh no. And wasn't nice to you, wasn't nice to the people around him. And all of a sudden you must have not just a light come on, but a total transformation.
Yeah, it was scary.
Must have freaked you out.
I I was on this pink cloud that they talk about
Still are.
for 2 years. We didn't have a crossword between us for 2 years. And I mean it. I was just so happy to not be smoking crack and not be in jail that I was like giddy, you know? And I would go to Yana to the AA clubhouse and I would allow these old men and old women to tell me all these stupid things that they did to not drink. And I'm like, well, that might work good for you. And I'd find myself using it later on. I remember going to see Collective Soul at the Orbit nightclub, and I couldn't get anybody to go with me, and I was about a year sober. And they had said, um, you can't do that unless you go for the right reason. I said, well, I'm going for the right reason. I love this band. And if anybody had been to Orbit, they had the stage, uh, a pit, and then it raised up, and they had a little walkway, and then bar stools, and then the bar. And I put myself at the bar and put my back to the bar, and and I just watched this band. Real Big Fish opened up for me. It was like so good, and I watched this and I was smiling the entire time, and just because music is a love of mine, and it was great. But can I answer that question now?
Yeah.
Please do.
We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we recovered is the main purpose of this book. When I came in, I was hopeless. I mean, I had no hope, right? And I thought I was going to die a drug addict. And it says a seemingly hopeless, because it's not hopeless when you get here. It's not.
It just feels like it.
It feels like it.
I think it is because
And the other thing was, I thought that this God that I didn't believe in when I came in wanted me to hurt so badly, and that there is no way I deserved what they said you would get by working these steps. There is no way I deserve this after all the crap I have done. And after time and working the steps and talking to people and bearing my soul, I found out that God loves me right where I'm at and that I deserve the best thing out there. We all do. And if we're willing to give it a little effort, we can feel it. You can feel it. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'll never get drunk again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Give
Oh, yeah.
Art, Sean, whatever, a round of applause. Thank you so much. I wanted you to. Joy and I started this little nut of a show when
2013.
2013, and then I had a relapse and lied to everybody that I wasn't smoking crack when I was, and I got sober, and so through the grace of God and the 12 steps of recovery, we have reformed this, and we have a whole team of people. Kimmy's Recovery Zone,
Yeah.
Heidi, Eileen, and in the back we have Brittany, and we have Stacy, and we have
Vivian.
Vivian. And in the booth we have
Pedro.
Pedro, and we have
Sharon.
Sharon. Thank you for all that. So give everybody a nice round of applause, because
Eileen.
this doesn't happen without all
Good
these
job.
people. So thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Nicole
All right.
from Lee Health.
Nice.
You're listening to Rated R for Recovery and RatedRforRecovery.com.
A brighter tomorrow. Whether it's counseling, recovery support, or simply finding hope, we provide the tools and community to help you rise. Take the first step toward healing today. Visit thenextstep.org and discover how we can support your journey to wellness. Remember, every step forward is a step toward a better you. The next step, your path to hope, starts here. With offices in Fort Myers and Naples, 844-639-8371.
Have you been charged with a crime? You could face serious penalties for conviction, and it is vitally important that you have skilled legal assistance on your side during this time. Call Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law today. 888-512-6254. Results matter. With a track record of success, our methods are tried and true. Mistakes happen, but we can help. Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law. Visit FortMyersCriminalLawFirm.com or call 888-512-6254. Not everyone has the luck of the Irish. If a friend or family member is in trouble, call Shamrock Bell Bonds. Put our number into your phone, 239-332-2245, 239-332-2245, or go online at gobailmeout.com. Shamrock Bell Bonds provides fast, reliable service. Shamrock Bell Bonds, 1528 Broadway, downtown Fort Myers. For the Shamrock, maybe luck will be on your side.
Hello, I'm Michael Manzi, owner of JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673. When starting this company 3 years ago, I had no clue that we would grow to what we have become. There is one thing I can say that we have done from the beginning is take pride in our work, making sure every customer we do work for is satisfied from beginning to end. Offering residential painting all the way to commercial painting with jobs done in a timely manner, with highly skilled professionals giving you top-of-the-line work. To help you create your new look, call JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673.
Struggling with addiction? You're not alone. At Phoenix House Project, we believe in second chances and brighter tomorrows. Our proven programs offer support, hope, and tools to rebuild your life. With expert care and a community that understands, transformation starts here. It's time to rise, reclaim your life, and become the best version of yourself. Visit phoenixhouseproject.squarespace.com today or call 239-244-7876. The journey to recovery begins with sober living. Phoenix House Project, where hope takes flight.
Kimmy's Recovery Zone, where hope meets action. We're here to guide the journey from treatment to thriving, healthy living. With peer support, public education, and vital resources like housing, employment, and Narcan training, we're building stronger communities. Ready to make an impact? Together, we're creating a network of recovery, resilience, and renewed lives. Kimmy's Recovery Zone, your hub for healing and hope. Visit us online today at kimmysrecoveryzone.org. It's not how we survive, it's how we thrive.
Join us for connection, encouragement, and real transformation. At Celebrate Recovery at Grace Church, we celebrate God's healing power through the 12 steps of recovery and the life-changing principles found in the Beatitudes. Whether you're overcoming a hurt, habit, or hang-up, Celebrate Recovery offers a safe and supportive community where you can grow, heal, and thrive. Add to your recovery because you're not alone, and healing is possible. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at one of the 3 Grace Church locations. Learn more at egracechurch.com/recovery.
When children have to play inside so they don't disappear.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery. That's Rated R, the number 4, recovery.com. Watch us on iTunes. Just simply punch in Rated R for Recovery. We come right up. You also can hear us on Pandora, Apple Music, Spotify, and a whole bunch of other media sources. I forgot to mention Podcast Playground as well. And I
YouTube.
neglected, I'm sorry?
YouTube.
Yes, yeah, didn't I say that?
I don't know.
YouTube, yeah. Anyway, so what I neglected to mention before, which Eileen brought to my attention, is that I mentioned all these people. But I want to tell you something. This show took a gigantic change technically wise from the sound and from the video when a gentleman named Mark Santora decided to come on board and help us. And Mark Santora is now remotely helping with the
All
show.
right, Mark.
And he is so. I want to just tell you that this show has drastically changed in quality, and that's all due to Mark. So we want to say thank you to Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mark.
So right beside me, ladies and gentlemen, is the man, the myth, the legend. This is Al Kinkle, who is the founder and head of Kimmy's Recovery Zone.
Kimmy's
This is Al.
Kimmy's Corner.
So Al, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome.
I
I'm
know
awesome.
you're. I know
There's
you're.
a photo that was going around in social media, of you and I.
Yeah, they're selling them in the back, 2 for $1.
Are you naked?
8 for 50.
So,
What?
yeah, 3 for $50 if you want one.
So and Eileen is going to make a poster out of that picture.
Yes, she is.
Yeah,
And we're
right.
going to put her right in this area, right around
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely. Al, who's sitting next to you?
Okay, so tonight we have a special guest, Nicole Liberto. And
All right, Nicole.
we're excited to have her here. Today, we're honored to welcome Nicole, a licensed clinical social worker and a system director. Where'd you go?
I don't know.
I looked for my partner over here. He left. Uh, behavioral health with Lee Health. So welcome, Nicole.
Hey.
To have you.
All right, you go.
We're really excited. We always like to have someone from the health system. We partner with you all so much, and everybody's so cooperative and so much fun to work with. And you've done a lot over the years, and just the past couple of years has really jumped on a whole lot. So thank you for that. Can you share with us a little bit about your journey in behavioral health? What brought you here?
Here tonight or
Yeah,
here at
What
behavioral
brought
health?
you
She
here
probably
today?
came by car. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So
Lean in.
there you go. Can you
Lean
hear
in.
me?
Yeah.
I've been in the field of behavioral health for 30 years.
Louder.
No, they can't hear you.
You got to go right in.
Okay. How about now?
Don't look at me.
Better.
I want to look. I've been in the field of behavioral health for 30 years. And what I can say attracted me to behavioral health was when I was young, I had a friend who had a mom. And she used to take us everywhere, and she was a great mom, and was very active. And one day I went over to her house, and the house was really dark, and mom didn't come out. And I was like, "Hey, where's your mom?" And she's like, "Oh, she doesn't feel good." And I'm like, "All right, no problem." So she feels better. Kept going over time and time again, and the house was darker and darker, and no sign of her mom anywhere. And I just kept thinking, like, what's going on? Something's not right. Um, and then eventually it had came out that her mom had had a nervous breakdown.
Oh.
And I was in shock. I was said, how can somebody who was just, walking around, taking us places and doing all this fun stuff with us have a nervous breakdown? What's that? Like, what is a nervous breakdown? And, it was the 90s. So, well, then it was like the 70s. So no one was really talking about mental health or nervous breakdowns. We didn't, that wasn't a thing. So I became really, really curious, and I just said, I've got to figure this out. Like, how do we help? What do we do? How do we, talk about this? Why is no one talking about this? So really, that was the footprint of what started my curiosity to want to understand mental health and help. and help people get better. I knew who she was before she got sick, and then didn't recognize her when she was sick, and then all of a sudden, she started getting help, and I said, "Oh, there she is again." That's great. So really, that's what brought me to mental health. When I was in college, I had been close to somebody growing up who um, was experiencing pretty heavy addiction. And once again, no one talked about that. And they had passed away of an overdose. And I'm thinking, why is no one talking about this? Why are we not talking about this? Someone needs to talk about this. And in the 90s, we just, like the gentleman said, we just weren't really talking about it. And it was there I learned that shame wants you silent. And I said, "Oh no, we're not going to live a life of silence and shame. We're going to educate, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to help people." And that was really kind of the turning point in my career. And I actually started my career in recovery medicine, early adolescent recovery medicine, in New Jersey. And that was the very first job I had, was working with adolescent males in substance use who were removed from their home in DCF custody, and that was my first job.
Wow. Well, we didn't talk about it back in whatever day. You're a little bit older than I am, but I love her. I love her.
Well,
But
you're
at
not.
any rate, but we didn't talk about it. We never did talk about it. But here we are tonight at Kimmy's Corner, Grace Church, a wonderful church to be in tonight with all these great people out here. And we are talking about it. And that is the problem. And it's still the problem. A lot of people say, oh, well, we're doing so much. No, we have to do more.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about it more. And we have to talk to each other about it.
Yep.
When you see somebody that's struggling along, be kind to them, show them some love, ask them some questions, and you'll find out what you're going to hear in a few minutes. Today I talked to a very special person today, and she was listening to me what I had to say, and before you know it, we went into a whole conversation about her mother being in recovery, not in recovery. She wished her mother was in recovery at this point, but her mother having a problem, and so if you talk to people, you're going to find out a little bit about them, and maybe you can help them. So I encourage you all to do that. So now Lee Health partners with us, and I've been working with Lee Health probably a long, long time.
Hmm.
And we have a fund over there called Kimmy's Angels, and it's Kids for Cancer, and it's on the 5th floor of the Children's Hospital. It's called Barbara's Friends. And when Kimmy passed away, we started a fund over there called Kimmy's Angels, and that's for kids with cancer. So, um, we love our hospital, love what they do, and Lee Health partners with us a lot. And how do you look at it? Partner with us with not just Kimmy's Own, but with the whole community. You're collaborating now with so many different organizations. You're spreading your wings, so to speak,
Hmm.
and you really have changed so much because you're changing with what everybody wants to see.
Hmm.
More mental health, more substance use disorder, things that we can do to help this community.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying we absolutely love you. We love you. You've been an incredible, incredible partner for Lee Health. We have distributed thousands of boxes of Narcan, all because of you. Saved countless lives because of the energy and the work that you do. And you've been an incredible, incredible partner for our addiction services. So we can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
We also do partner with a lot of our community organizations, but let me just take a step back because I think it's important that we recognize the growth of Lee Health as well. Lee Health I've come up off off of some pretty incredible predecessors who started years ago, championing and initiating substance use recovery care in Lee Health, and they've done a fantastic job. I couldn't have been luckier. We've had a team of cardiothoracic surgeons, some nurses, and our VP at the time for behavioral health that started a substance use disorder council. And a lot of energy and initiative went into educating our providers, educating our residents to give them early exposure to what behavioral health and substance use care should look like and sound like. A lot of energy has gone into helping equip our physicians and our staff about how to have normalizing conversations about behavioral health. And again, my mission, as you've heard, is let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So, that's really near and dear to my heart. And we've got a lot of education and training and support for the people who are providing the service because, it's not only important that we talk about it, but it's also important we talk about it in the right way so that we have the best impact that we can have. And, that we are encouraging for people to want to reach out, to want to get help. So there's a lot going on, and it's a very large organization, and they're just moving at an incredible pace to do this. So there's a lot of work being done there.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the barriers that we face is insurance barriers. Is there anything new that you can talk about insurance and just in general that's coming down the pike, or we want to be able to get more coverage for our hospitals when people come in and they're in the emergency room and then they leave? I mean, that's a difficult question.
Yeah.
We're all hoping and that we could provide health insurance, but that's one of the biggest problems that I think we're facing. But Lee Health doesn't turn anybody away.
Oh no.
They bring everybody in, so that's a good thing. But we're hoping from just bringing them into the emergency room and helping them out and get them situated that on the horizon maybe there is some more uh, consideration to get more insurance for folks.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, equitable healthcare, right? I mean, that's on the top of everybody's mind is how do we achieve a community that is able to access equitable healthcare? And, we, like you said, Lee Health doesn't turn anybody away.
Yeah.
We take everybody. We're a catchment hospital and, we love what we do. Um, so yeah, well, we take everybody and anybody and,
Yeah,
and
it
that's what we do.
took me last week. I was in the emergency room. It was great. I was in the emergency room. It was great, man. I had 6 hours. It was really wonderful. But why? It was really good. But while I was in there, incidentally, there was a person in there that uh, was unhoused, and I was watching that, and I just felt bad for that person, and the dream is always to be, instead of coming into emergency room, that we have a little out unit that takes people that are having issues or an episode of some kind, and hopefully we can see that someday on the
You're talking
horizon.
about a mental episode?
Hmm?
You said having an episode. You mean like with mental health?
Yeah,
Okay.
mental health
Yeah.
and a lot of alcohol, and
Yeah.
the poor guy, but the hospital staff was fantastic. The sheriff's department that was in there, they were fantastic, and the poor guy just had some issues, but they took care of him. That was the most important thing in my mind, is they took care of
Yeah.
him and they treated him gently.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah.
So compliments to the hospital, Dr. Antonucci, if you're listening. So. So at any rate, um, okay, mental health wellness and the behavioral health staff. What advice do you give to other professionals working in recovery, peer support on how to avoid burnout and maintain their compassion?
Yeah. That's a good one. It's important, especially in healthcare, that healthcare professionals take care of themselves. And I think, it's also important that we remember healthcare professionals are people too. So ensuring that they take good care of themselves, that they fill their cup, they get the help that they need and be able to ask for the help that they need if they need any. We have a lot of wellness initiatives for our employees, for our clinicians at Lee Health. We could just partnered with our wellness division and created a wellness hub so that professionals can have resources that they need to, fill their cup, get what they need to sustain 12-hour shifts and, a hard demanding job.
And I think that education, when you were talking about that, is very important because you would think that clinicians and people in the in the industry would know and understand, but we don't. And for the most part, we just keep going. We just keep going. You just do it. Then there's another patient, and then you just keep going. And not just the education, but like you said, the wellness
Yeah.
um, organizations and things that
Hmm.
that you need to plug into. And sometimes you need a reminder.
Yep. Yeah.
You need
Absolutely.
somebody to be able to say, "Hey, take a break."
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big hospital. If anybody really wants to know, that's a 16,000 people work in those hospitals. So that's a big operation, and very admire them for what they do, because it's not easy to maintain that structure and maintain consistency. How can community members connect with Lee Health Behavioral Health Services if they need help? What's a way for them to connect
Oh, well, you can visit us on the web.
besides me going into the emergency room? That's how I connected.
You can call us. We have a lot of access. So let me just really quickly talk about Lee Health globally, if you will. We have embedded psychologists in primary care locations so that there's, access to mental health and substance use services in our primary care location. So if you're visiting your primary care doctor and you are screening positive for depression and or anxiety, you have access to a psychologist or a mental health professional, while you're getting your medical care. And that's fascinating because it helps you just normalize mental health care and substance use just like regular health care. So there's a lot of work and effort, if you will, going to normalizing mental health and substance use treatment and care. And, we start there in the front door of our primary care locations. And we have fantastic partners who welcomed, behavioral health with open arms into the clinics because, it doesn't just, mental health doesn't just live and breathe in a mental health clinic. It shows up in everywhere, in your doctor's visit, in your cardiologist visit, in your OB visit, and and every person who touches healthcare, could
And
be
even a
experiencing
medical
a health
issue
issue.
can trigger an emotional issue and a mental issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes after surgery, people will find that they struggle with depression or something, and those things need to be normalized also.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in addition to the psychologist, we have a mental health department, and we also have a substance use disorder treatment program, a medication assisted treatment program that has same day access for anybody who wants medication assisted treatment and therapy, same day access. We have a consult liaison department that does psychiatric and substance use consults in our hospital systems. We've got peer support specialists. We've got substance use disorder navigators. We've got meetings and recovery meetings happening for people who have been, sitting on the hospital floors, who have been admitted medically that need some exposure to some recovery services. We've got that going on. There's a lot that's happening at Lee Health that has really moved the needle in terms of mental health and substance use disorder care, and a lot for them to be proud of. They've done an amazing, amazing job.
Yeah, I'm impressed with Gallisanos Children's Hospital and
Hmm.
Children's Hospital, and then also Kids Minds Matter does a fantastic job, because if we want to put a cap on some of this, some of the issues we have, we ought to start with our children. We know that. And then many years ago, when we first started to encourage Narcan in the hospital outside of the emergency room, they didn't have it too far around. And now we're giving it to the employees at the hospitals, all the hospitals. So that's a major change. And then the peer specialists they didn't used to have, and when you had endarchitis and you had that surgery, you didn't really have any peers for that to work with the families, so to speak. I mean, they didn't just leave you out there; they did the surgery and took good care of you, but continual care. So Lee Health has really stepped up a whole lot. And we're proud of you guys and proud of you so much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Can I tell you two little short things that Lee has helped with? I have a nephew who ended up in Golisano for a year almost. Every time they would send him home, about 3 days later he'd be back, and this went on for a year. And it turned out that he had this thing called cyclic vomiting syndrome, which isn't very well known, and it's becoming more well known now. But Lee took a lead in that and learned about it and got some resources. And then when I had breast cancer, the first time I had cancer, I did not have insurance. And Lee Health stepped in and helped me. They got me hooked up with Susan Komen. And I had a breast care navigator. You were talking about having navigators for all these different things. And she took, put everything together and made it just a cohesive unit during that whole time. They saved my life.
That's wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kimmy's Corner in a weekly segment here at Rated R for Recovery. Give Nicole a nice round of applause. So each week we have a different surprise guest at Kimmy's Corner, and we want to thank one of our sponsors, not actually a sponsor, a co-contributor. We're partners in Rated R for Recovery. Al Kinkle and the staff at Kimmy's Recoveries.
All right.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, the people at home, they can't play. Did you know that, Al? They can't play because we do a
Must be
raffle.
present
We
to
do a
win.
huge raffle every week, and we're going to be doing that. But we're going to sign off and then come back. Is that right? But before we sign off, Eileen, who is one of the biggest supporters of the show on our team, put it that way. She is a person of long-term recovery who works at Kimmy's Recovery Zone with Heidi and Al, Vivi and Stacy and Brittany and everybody else. I don't want to miss anybody.
Whole gang's here.
But Eileen lost a little cousin today,
This
and
morning.
I guess a cousin's son or daughter was 4 years old and a tree fell on him. So I keep that in our prayers because that's just terrible. You know, you can only imagine what parents go through when they have a little tiny loved one, and that just boggles my mind. So anyway, so our thoughts and prayers with Eileen and her family. We're going to sign off right now, Pedro, I think, and we're going to just see you again next week. Ladies and gentlemen, like us on the Facebook, share us on the Facebook, go to YouTube, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. Find us Rated R for Recovery. Go to Kimmy's Recovery Zone website. You'll find Rated R for Recovery. Go to ratedrforrecovery.com. You'll find Kimmy's Recovery Zone. We're all in this together. Unity in the community. It's not about individual people. It's about the hope that we can transmit. Thank you and good night.
Don't forget to say hello to Heidi. Heidi.
Oh, and I did. I did. I did.
Well, you did
Thank-
earlier.
I did.
She
And
just
don't go anywhere. We got a raffle.
She just texted me and said you didn't say anything about it.
Did she? She did not. She did not. That's not kind of gal she is. All right, get your tickets out, ladies and gentlemen, as we turn the mic. What? All right, look at all the presents. It's like Christmas. Eileen?
Okay. Larry, you're in the doghouse with me. Larry, this I'm.
It is on.
622169. Yay! $622,178. Stacy!